I'm going to tell you a story, but the first thing you have to understand is time doesn't work the way you think it does. You can call me Oracle, because I'm always talking to you. Welcome to the call. Alright, so I had a notion, and I've often talked about how I will put mantra on these. And the specific episode is actually specifically about the mantra that I. So note on why this is so low. I have like 8 or 9 recordings that are set aside that I've saved in case I actually have to use them for Saxibara because of Little Dim's being persistently stupid today. Like extra stupid. But so Magic the Gathering, right? Also Pokemon, both of them bear relevance to this. So a while back, I mentioned games that I played with a gentleman named Motor. Obviously, Motor is a nickname because he can just keep going. He can just keep Motor. Like sometimes it's a bad thing, but most of the time it's a really good thing. Um, but so I took the core concept of Magic the Gathering, and a campaign he ran where there were 5 Magic decks, each one belonging to essentially a Planeswalker. Um, who were associated with famous historical figures. Like the green one was Shaka Zulu, um, the blue one was a Chinese legendary illusionist named Nagano. Um, the black one, I believe, was Rasputin. Uh, the white one, I believe, was an Egyptian pharaoh, like a female one. One I don't remember the name of off the top of my head. And I believe the red one was Gilgamesh, but I'm not 100% on that one. So, on that note, I picked 5, um, in some cases real, in some places strictly Puritana legendary, uh, uh, the 5 classic types of terrain from Magic, and basically said, this for this mana, activate, because tap isn't a thing in Sanskrit. So like Kasitra Peralea, Zulkimana, Tejite. So Plane of Armageddon, white mana, activate. So I tapped the Plains of Armageddon for white mana. I tapped the the Styx marshes because the rivers all converge in a marsh or a swamp. The Styx marshes for black mana. Fire Mountain, which I believe is a word for a volcano. I picked the active volcano in Hawaii for that. I love Hawaii. For the island, I picked the island from Lost because I'm a nerd like that. And for green mana, I picked Goma Grahana, or a hedge labyrinth. But the core concept of that game was that essentially the 5 decks were at war because their owners were essentially at war. And I actually got my hands on the white deck, which is how we essentially found out about all of this. And we had no idea what they were. And essentially, I was like hard pressed in a bad situation. And I ended up needing to essentially use the deck. And it caused me no end of troubles. But essentially, I got caught by a bunch of mages, and they filled my hand with because the thing is, all of the owners of the decks had been turned into monster cards and put into the decks, and that's how the war initially ended. And so this cult essentially captured me because they knew I had the white deck, and they figured out a way to make me cycle my hand until it was only land cards, and I had no idea what they would do. And the owner of the deck, because if the owner of the deck got played, well then you got carded and put into the deck, and that was how that worked. And I was like, that is not happening to me. Because as soon as that happened, I was like, planes. Because I was like, what's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is I was in Miami and all of a sudden a giant plane appeared. Like, I leveled city blocks. That was the worst that could happen. I didn't know that was the worst that could happen, but that was the worst that could happen. So, on this note, I was thinking about it, and there are some magical titles that work very conveniently with this theme, which is Devadasa for the white deck, the Heaven Slave, Aditya Sunya, or the Sun's Son for the red deck. If you're a Magic fan, you're liking this already. Mirta Sutta for the black deck, Death's Son. Yeah! Vidyadhana Mahakakravakin, or the Paramount Lord of Fairy-like Beings for the green deck. Think of all the elves and the fae in there. Like, come on! That was like the easiest one of all. I had a little bit of trouble with blue, but I settled on, not settled on, but I decided on Kavitakika Simha, or the Line of Philosophers and Poets, because essentially that's like top tier Wizard Alchemist. I was like, that seems like the best fit for blue. Okay, so with that in mind, how does Pokemon enter into this? Ah, yes. Well, after I had the Pajka Baltika Bada, the 5 Elemental Bada, I then activated Bala, or Force, or Energy, for all of the various Pokemon energy types. Like, you know, Fire for Red, Water for Blue, Lightning for Yellow, Grass for Green. I did Darkness. I did Darkness for Dark Energy, and that's essentially the blue. I mean the black equivalent. Dark for black, and white for white. Because honestly, I wasn't really sure what white was. Mechanical for mechanical. And psychic for psychic. And then I did a Pajgavatika Mada. And then however many balls there were. Oh yeah, like I also did the fighting energy because that was one, because that's one they have. But however many bala that is, I don't remember how many energies that is off the top of my head. Then Oivote, weave, just like weave them all. So now I effectively have a full mana pool of every color of mana and energy. This is Oracle, I'm gonna sing myself out. Careful not to mana burn yourself. They got rid of that rule. Oh, they got rid of the mana burn rule. That's right. Mana burn was such an interesting rule, and that they also had, like, mana burn could also be a strategy, like force someone to mana burn themselves. That was like old. That was an old school dirty trick, is to make someone mana burn themselves. But this is Oracle, I'm gonna sing myself out. Careful not to Avatara Mana Rokayati, that is to say. Oh, careful not to Mana Avatara Rokayati say. That is to say, have your mana burn in your Avatara, your incarnation today. Dream safely out there, and create it safely too. From to all of you out there. Oh. Oops, I screwed it up. From me right here to all of you there. Dumb. I guess that'll do. Wasn't what I'm going for, but that'll be fine. Ooh.